Hello, it's me, Jebediah, the man with the greatest taste and the most beautiful nipples. Today, I will be telling you all 40 books that I read this year, ranked from worst to best. Starting at number 40, an honorable mention, an essay on devotional cinema by Nathaniel Dorsky. I do not have a physical copy of this book, and so I will not be showing it today. And without further ado, the top 39 books ranked from worst to best. Number 39, Cape Fear by John D. MacDonald. This book sucked balls. It was terrible. It's a thriller where nothing happens, and I hated it. It was a waste of time, and I would give this 0 stars if I could. Number 38, Red Rabbit by Alex Grecian. This book might be one of the stupidest things I've ever read. It was terrible. I would give this 0.5 stars, maybe. Number 37, Mistborn by Brandon Sanderson. I wanted to get into fantasy, and everyone recommended this book. But it seems it does not understand if it wants to be for 5-year-olds or for adults. It speaks to you like you're an idiot and also handles very complex topics very stupidly. I would give this 1 star, maybe. Number 36, The Proving Trail by Louis L'Amour. A lot of Louis L'Amour's books are nearly identical, and so I have trouble differentiating them. This is another one about the coolest guy ever who beats everyone else up better, and he's super cool and handsome, and he kisses all the girls. I would give it 1 star. Number 35, The Sexy Kid by Elmore Leonard. This is the first Elmore Leonard I've read, and the only Elmore Leonard I've read. It was okay, just kind of boring. I'm excited to read more from him that hopefully is more interesting, maybe his earlier work. Number 34, Fair Warning by Michael Connelly. This was the 3rd book in the Jack McAvoy series of mysteries. It was okay, the weakest in that little section, but it wasn't bad. Number 33, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It was just kind of boring and built up. Everything that you wanted to read in this book was like the last few pages. And also, they speak in that old Victorian English, which I find kind of a pain to read. So, 33, not bad, not terrible. Flint by Louis L'Amour, number 32. This is another book about the coolest guy ever who beats everyone else up better with better fists and kisses all the girls. It was okay. 31, The Gunslinger by Stephen King. It was a fun little weird western and was closer to what I was looking for than Red Rabbit was. I've always avoided Stephen King because I didn't really have much interest in his filmmaking things. Everything he was a part of, I never was a fan of. I didn't like The Shining, and Creepshow was okay. So I kind of avoided him in writing, but this was better than I expected it to be. It was pretty good prose-wise. It was kind of like if Cormac McCarthy was an immature 19-year-old, which I think that's how old Stephen King was when he wrote this. So, not bad. Number 30, The Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett. This book was just kind of mid all the way through. It wasn't horrible. All the characters were kind of boring. And, I don't know, just nothing really stuck out as that amazing. I'm curious to read more of his thrillers, but so far it's Number 29, Sacred by Dennis Lehane. I think this is the third book in the Kenzie and Gennaro series. It was okay. I don't remember much about it. I think they go down to Florida, and then it's kind of a mediocre mystery. So, 29. Number 28. The Blade Itself by Joe Abercrombie. I read this also after trying to read more fantasy things, and people recommended this series a bunch. It was okay. Closer to what I was looking for than Mistborn was, and at least it kind of understands what it's trying to be, so it was fun. 27. The Black Echo by Michael Connelly. The first in his Harry Bosch series. I started out reading the Jack McAvoy series first, and then I decided to rewind and go back to his first book chronologically that he wrote, which was this one. And it was pretty good. Not as I think by starting at a book that I found kind of crazier, it made this kind of pale in comparison, but it wasn't horrible. It was alright. 26. The Lincoln Lawyer by Michael Connelly. It's a legal thriller, which I'm more into a mystery type reveal at the end, and this was more of a thriller. The mystery kind of gets revealed halfway through, and then it keeps going. It was okay. It wasn't bad. For a legal thriller, it was pretty fun. 25. The Black Ice by Michael Connelly. This one was better than The Black Echo. I think he goes on to Mexico. The mystery was pretty fun. I had a good time. Plus, he fights a bull at one point, like a matador, so that's pretty crazy. 24. The Power of the Dog by Don Winslow. It was a fun little thriller, I guess, about the war on drugs. It was alright. It's strange. It's written in present tense, so it reads almost like a screenplay or a movie. So that's kind of fun. 24. 23. The Scarecrow by Michael Connelly. I remember the mystery in this being pretty decent, although it kind of lacks mystery because you know who the villain is, and it's more about watching the protagonists work their way to the villain. But there's some pretty good thriller stuff in here from what I remember. So 23, not bad. 22. A Study in Scarlet by Sherlock Holmes. It was better than I expected it to be going back to Sherlock Holmes, because I figured with how old it would be kind of closer to what I got with... I think my light died. Closer to what I got with Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But it was pretty fun to go through, although a little bit cheesy. So, Study in Scarlet, not bad. Pretty good. Better than I expected. Michael Connelly, The Last Coyote. This I think the most recent of the Harry Bosch that I've read, and it was pretty decent. I didn't like the reveal, but the whole journey was fun to go on. So, 21. Number 20. Sympathy for the Devil by Kent Anderson. It's kind of just a crazy Vietnam War story from a guy who I think was actually a veteran. It's pretty crazy. There's like a masturbating monkey, so that's pretty awesome. Number 19. Prayers for Rain by Dennis Lehane. It was okay. It's kind of the first half of the book was pretty good, and then it just kind of gave up on what the first half of the book was trying to do by the second half, and just kind of changed its whole tone. Dennis Lehane, I've noticed, kind of has a weird tonal shift where it doesn't know when it wants to be serious and doesn't know when it wants to be goofy. But as far as a thriller goes, it's pretty good, and not really a mystery in this one. So, number 19, Prayers for Rain. 18, High Lonesome by Louis L'Amour. It's another book about the coolest guy who beats everybody else up better and kisses all the girls. But at least there's some stakes in this one, so it's not bad. They're kind of a good ending. Number 17, The Quick and the Dead by Louis L'Amour. This is my favorite Louis L'Amour I've read so far. It's the only one that I've read that... I don't know if I was holding this for the camera. There we go. It's the only one that I've read that isn't about necessarily the coolest guy who beats everyone else up better and kisses all the girls, and actually has good tension and drama between characters. So this one's pretty good. Number 16, Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey. I haven't read a lot of science fiction other than some Harlan Ellison short stories, so I don't know how to compare to it, but as far as like a thriller story goes in a science fiction setting, it's pretty good. I had a good time with Leviathan Wakes, and I'm excited to read more of these, which I haven't had a chance to yet. We're running out of room for these things. Number 15, The Power of the Dog by Thomas Savage. A little different than the other Power of the Dog. It's like a family drama on a ranch. It's a pretty good just little exploration on toxic masculinity. And that's about it. It was pretty good. I had a good time with it. Number 14, Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. On a literary level, it should probably go higher, but on a personal enjoyment level, it's a little bit lower. I should probably read it again. It's just one of those highfalutin books you got to read a few times to really get into, which I haven't yet. From what I could take away from it, it was pretty good. I had a good time with it. But 14. Number 13, A Drink Before the War by Dennis Lehane. This is the first book in the Kenzie and Gennaro series, and I read it pretty early this year. I remember it being pretty good. I think tonally, this might be one of the better ones because it's closer to what it wants to be. It doesn't jump around as much. So, yeah, number 13, this was pretty good. Number 12, Frankenstein. I read the 1818 text. I have not read whatever the other one is yet, so I don't know what the difference is. Frankenstein was pretty good. I like the monster's monologues. He's a crazy little critter. All right. Number 11, The Stranger by Albert Camus. This was pretty good. It's kind of got the same vibe that I get from reading a lot of Southern Gothic stuff. And by the end, it kind of reminded me a lot of like Wise Blood between the priest and the main guy. So I like this one. I thought it was pretty crazy. It's also funny, which I didn't expect going into this. So yeah, I like The Stranger. Finally, into the top 10 best books I read this year. Starting with number 10, The Tourette Cowboy by Shane T. French. Just a beautiful story with a lot of meaning. As far as graphic novels go, it's probably as close to high literature as you can get. So I really enjoyed that. Number 9, Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. This book was badass. I love Heathcliff, and I love Linton Heathcliff, I believe is his name. All the characters in this are just awesome. This book ruled. Number 8, The Sign of the Four by Sherlock Holmes. Sign of the Four by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, part of Sherlock Holmes. This book, no one could have prepared me for how crazy this thing was going to be. Once again, I expected something closer to A Study in Scarlet or the old writing like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. This book was just crazy. They're right from the get-go. They're snorting cocaine. They're doing heroin. They're tracking down little, probably racist representations of Islander people and going on speedboat chases. Conan Doyle must have been smoking crack on this thing. It was awesome. Number 8. Number 7, Darkness Take My Hand by Dennis Lehane. I believe this is the second in the Kenzie and Gennaro series, and It's closer to a serial killer mystery, which I prefer. I guessed it pretty early, so that kind of took away from me, but the story overall is just pretty crazy. I had a good time with this one. So, number 7. Number 6, The Concrete Blonde by Michael Connelly. This is probably the second best Michael Connelly I've read this year, or at all, because I think I started reading Michael Connelly this year. It was just crazy. It's the third book in the Harry Bosch series, and it kind of took advantage of the fact that it's a series to make the mystery better and just kind of pull the things that have been building throughout the series. So this was pretty good. I really like this one. Number 5, Gone Baby Gone by Dennis Lehane. This one is the 4th book in the Kenzie and Gennaro series, and it probably is close to Darkness Take My Hand. The mystery's good. It's pretty crazy. But the ending is probably what puts it above the other one. It's a kind of a crazy moral dilemma they end up in, which is pretty just fun to read. I liked it. So this is probably the best of the Kenzie and Gennaro series, and I think they made a movie out of it, but I have not seen it yet. Number 4, The Violent Bear It Away by my main bitch, Flannery O'Connor. This book, it's been so long, I can't quite remember a lot that's in it. I'm going to have to read this thing again, but I remember liking it, and there were a few scenes in it that were pretty good. So, it's got a number 4. I'm going to have to reread this thing again. Not as good as Wise Blood. Wise Blood is still the greatest book ever written, but it's pretty good. Number 3, Outer Dark by Cormac McCarthy. I read this earlier this year, and I'm still working on getting through all of Cormac's stuff. It's just a kind of crazy road trip book about 2 incestuous siblings trying to track down, or one trying to track down their baby, and one trying to track down the sister looking for the baby. And it's just crazy. I remember reading this, and there were some just so visually striking scenes in this that I was reading this, and I was like, man, I should make a movie out of this thing. This thing's badass. And then like a week after I finished this, they announced I believe they're making a movie. So who knows? Maybe the movie will suck balls, but I'm excited. This book was awesome. Number 2, The Poet by Michael Connelly. This was the first Michael Connelly book I read, and that might have been a mistake because this was by far still the best Michael Connelly book I've read. This book's fucking crazy. I love this book. It's a perfect murder mystery, serial killer mystery from page 1 to the end. This is probably one of the few books where I was staying up a little bit late reading, and I hit like 150 pages away from the end and just ended up staying up late and reading the whole thing through. And then I recommended it to my fiance, and I said, by the time you get to this point, you're going to read the whole thing through, and then she also did. So this thing's just crazy. It's a perfect, as far as entertaining goes, page 1 to the end is just perfect all the way through. And then last, but not least, number 1, The Crossing by Cormac McCarthy. This one's also just kind of a road trip book about a kid who just keeps walking back and forth across the United States-Mexican border in the I don't know exactly what time period this takes place in, but it's kind of just somber and sad and self-reflecting and philosophical. It's just kind of, as far as what I've read so far of Cormac McCarthy, it's probably the highest literature that I've read, and it's just, I don't know, it was pretty good. I liked it. So that's all 40 books I read this year, ranked from worst to best. Don't forget to, comment, subscribe, donate to my GoFundMe. Thank you. Goodbye.